Today I'm going to show you how you can take a huge PDF, print it out on paper, cut it out, and use those as ribs for the first section of the Cessna 172 flight simulator. Let's get right into it. The structure is basically just going to be like this. I have profile 3, profile 2, and then profile 1. And then cover it all up, and then I have my nice little section. It's a lot harder in real life. Right here we have all of our drawings, and I'm going to print out profile 2, 3, and then these ribs. I made notes on the ribs which rib it is, so this is 1-1-105, and then how many you need. You need 2 here, and then you need 1 here. I'm exporting these all as PDFs and then printing them. Now I'm going to open these with Adobe Acrobat and print these. You'll notice right here I'm actually using just recycled like printer paper. So this is like a syllabus. This is, heck, I don't even know. I can just print it and have it go through, and that'll save paper. I even have a little reminder on the bottom of my printer to say cringy side up, to remind me to put the used side up. It's more likely to jam, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. Okay, just press the print button, then use the poster setting. We can keep a good chunk of this paper. It's not all going to be used. Okay, press print. Oh no, no. Always go under properties and make sure this is single-sided. We only want it to print on one side because otherwise you'd have to reuse sides and it would go way crazy. Single side, no overlap, poster. Those are the 3 settings I use. Now we have this set of papers, and if we go back to the print window, we can figure out how this was printed. So there are 2 blank pieces of paper in a row. 3 actually. So that means this was printed this way. So it started 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that we reverse engineered this, that makes it so much easier. We don't have to sort these individually. So note the direction it goes from, and that'll make your life easier. I used letter-sized paper that's 8.5 by 11 inches, but your metric equivalent should work as long as you use the poster setting and don't adjust the scale of the PDF. Note these settings do default, which makes this very annoying. It's smart to go ahead and get a few binder clips so that you can keep these all in their proper sections. You definitely don't want to have this get scattered. You can also use paper clips, but let's admit, these just look more intimidating. This is the first time I'm going to buy plywood in almost 2 years, I think. Ever since then, I've been using reclaimed solid wood. That's been my main woodworking staple. I'm debating on how many pieces of plywood I should get, because if I get too little, I'll have to go back, you know? And it's not guaranteed I'll get the same type of wood, but if I get too much wood, I risk overspending and having waste. And I don't like having too much wood in my shop because it makes it cluttered. I brought the jigsaw just in case I have to cut around the driver's seat because it might not be big enough, which would be hilarious. Hey, I got the best parking job because I did a really bad parking job and then I reparked. Boy, is plywood expensive. What the heck? I spent too much money on a single sheet of plywood. The cheapest plywood they had, so not MDF, was $46. And then the cheapest MDF they had, I believe, was like $35. Why is this so painful? You'll also notice the plywood in the background. It barely fits. A sheet of OSB that used to be $18 is now $30, so that's definitely going to take a little toll on my project and make that a lot more annoying. Oh my goodness, now I have to get it out of the van and into the shop. Wish me luck. We have huge pieces of plywood right here. They're taller than I am. Right here we have some 3/4 inch birch plywood. It's hecking expensive though. So let's go ahead and see if this piece of plywood is big enough. Went there. Where does this guy go? So this one must go here. Even the smallest front profile rib won't fit on a single piece of this smallest plywood, so I'll have to use this plywood over here instead, which is a lot heavier. Ooh. Let's tape up these profiles and get rolling. I don't have any tape. You'll notice right here there's like something like 0.05 inches of overlap. So for these, I'll have to go ever so slightly above so that I mitigate that little overlap. That's really annoying. I don't even know how much 0.5 is. It's like 1/10 of half an inch, if that makes sense. It doesn't, it's imperial. Here's our template. I taped it all together and I thought it was in order, but it's not. So we're gonna have to fix this. It's not big enough for this sheet of plywood right here, so I'll have to actually cut something from the giganta block up there. Success! Okay, right here, drawing 1. It looks like I swapped some stuff, which makes this a little more complicated. So I definitely messed up the portion up here versus the portion down here, so I did mess some stuff up. Basically, I had it oriented upside down, so make sure you orient it the right way. I don't have any spray adhesive, so I'm just using a glue stick. I'm just gonna trace this line, basically. That worked out alright. Probably wouldn't do it again. But, you know me, I probably will. Come on! When I measured it, there was this much left. I had 1 inch of margin, but then as I glued everything, I shifted everything 2 inches over. So now there's not enough room for this profile. This reminds me of winter goth. Pain is temporary, glory is forever. This is good. I'm gonna outline this by about 1/8 of an inch because my jigsaw actually has about a 10-degree angle when I cut corners. I guess I'll just have to kind of either router or sand that off. Oh no. Oh, okay. I thought I cut into my sawhorse. Oh. That time I did cut into my sawhorse. Rip. Yeah. Be mindful of your sawhorses. They have feelings too. It went down there. It is very cold. It's actually snowing out here, so I'm gonna go inside because my fingers are a little cold. Bye-bye! Here we have the very first profile of the Cessna172 project. Actually, the angle this time wasn't bad at all, which I'm really proud of. So I'm gonna come in closer, make another cut. This one will be closer, and this one will be a lot more careful. I guess just make slow, careful cuts and emphasize that, yeah. I'm also gonna try to keep this drawing block right here with this piece of wood because it shows 1-1-101, and that tells me that this is 1-1-101, and I won't get anything messed up. I don't know why I'm being so extra about this. It's kind of hilarious, but I like it. This actually makes really good scrap paper, so you can keep this around. Not all of your 24 pieces of paper have gone to waste. You just have to be creative. This method is definitely a hassle, so if you want to avoid this hassle, you can actually get engineering plans at like your local office store, and they'll print them out on a huge piece of paper. You can just roll it out, cut around it, and it's good to go. The only problem is that's $10, and every $10 I spend that I don't have to is $10 I don't have to spend. Just so you know, this taping probably isn't essential, but I do want to make sure I do it because then it'll just be easier to align everything, which I think is important. You'll notice the bottom of my plans right here are flat, and the sides of this plywood are flat. This is actually a factory edge, and I'm gonna try to preserve this the best I can so that I can actually use this and I won't have to make a cut here. The factory did it for me. Thanks, factory. It'll also be a straighter cut than I can do with my jigsaw, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna start gluing from this side so that I can make sure I preserve this factory edge and also don't shift the paper over to this end too much. I'm erring on the side of too much glue than not enough glue because if I have too much, it'll just get a little gross. But if I have not enough, it'll come undone and I'll have to realign it, which won't be a deal breaker, but will be annoying and could possibly result in something that doesn't look very good. These gloves are actually really good for this. You can kind of work in the glue too, so that it sticks better. And especially making sure to get these parts, because I'm gonna cut here too. I don't care so much about this profile right here. It's offset for a straight line. So as long as I have this relatively good, I know that if I just go this distance, it'll be a straight line and it's all good to go. Should I even glue these? Because I don't think it's that important. We can do it anyways. Executive decision, these are useless. They did help line everything up though. Looks good, I think. Well, of course I think it looks good, but 39 by 32. That put this right here, which would leave 33. Dang it. I might have just goofed up. Basically, my mistake was that I made it too thick this way, and I should have instead laid it this way. That would allow me a few more inches to put my other profile, so I could fit 3 profiles on this sheet instead of just 2. That's a little annoying because I just spent 21 minutes doing this. What you gonna do? I'll try my best in my drawings to give you a little cut list that shows you, okay, cut one right here, cut one right here, cut one right here. Right now I'm doing it all from scratch. I guess I'm a little stubborn. This did bring up a brilliant point though. The inside of one of the profiles of the last profile is actually going to be hollow. Since it's hollow, I have to actually go in and reprint my drawings. It's always a sad day when you make something super epic and you have to tear it apart. Oh well. I'm going to try using this chisel, and anywhere the glue is super stuck, just kind of tease it into ungluing itself. Remember when I said that you should err on the side of more glue than less glue? I guess I'm now regretting that, yeah. You definitely want more glue if you do it right the first time, but if you do want to move things around, less glue. It's up to you. It's your choice. It's so satisfying to peel off. One thing I've learned making these YouTube videos is that the more sound effects you make yourself, the less sound effects you have to put in post. Yeah! Ah, jump, zip, pop. Ah, ah. Crackle, crackle, pop. Kaboom! Doo-doo! It doesn't look pretty everywhere, but I think we just about did it. I put way too much glue over here. It's really hard to get off. So apparently you can put too much glue on. We're gonna put this little bit off to the side for a few seconds and work with 1-1-103, the third profile from the front. It looks hideous. I'm so sorry, everyone. So what I did on this profile was I did the same thing I did on 1-1-102. I offsetted it a certain distance, and then this distance just leaves a clearing in here that we can use for other things. I actually printed over the previous version where I didn't include these lines, so you'll see a few funky results like this, where it double printed. It says revision number EB. I'm noticing a ton of things putting these drawings together. Like this rectangle right here isn't even the width of the plywood, right here. So I'll have to go in and fix this in revision C. Things are getting a little funky right now. I don't know where this piece went. I think it's downstairs somewhere. So then these fit together like this, and then like here. Oh, here it is. I should make that dramatic. Things are getting a little shaky in the Captain Bob Flight Simulator studio. In a matter of minutes, disaster could strike. With a slightly cold shop and low lighting conditions, these workers are under severe stress and time limits. There are a matter of seconds until one of them dies of either heat exhaustion or hypothermia. When it comes to flight simulator building, there's only one person that can build a flight simulator exactly like this, because other flight simulators are slightly different. And it's Captain Bob. Okay, that was super cheesy. I'm sorry. I'm running out of tape. I'll add that to the TV show. Trevor is nearing the end of his roll of tape. Is this going to be his last piece of tape? Tune back next week for more information. Da-dong. I'm literally missing one piece of tape. Just one. You're useless. So right here, this profile is 34 inches tall, give or take. And then this profile, the other one, is 33 inches. So if we have 66 inches, let me measure more accurately. It just barely fits. It's at exactly 36 inches. That worked out near perfect. Unless it didn't, which is a catastrophic failure. I don't know which one it is yet. I'm really hoping it's the first one. I'm actually going to start with this profile 2, and then shift it over here, and then do this one last. Because if it turns out good, I can just turn it a little bit, and then it'll all be good to go there. But if it somehow doesn't fit when it's all glued, then I can actually just cut a little bit of this portion off and have it have no bottom structure here. I'm actually going to cut around this whole section so that I know more accurately how to cut it. I'm offsetting it about 1 inch probably, just so that the glue has a place to hold. So we can test out how much this is taking up and then measure that and subtract it from 65 to see how much space we have left. This is taking up roughly 32 inches, so that gives us 35 inches. I don't know what I was so scared about, but pressure's on, don't mess up, I guess. I'm gonna get a square so that I can make sure the papers are square to the edge of the plywood. That is not square at all. I thought I was almost perfect, but I was far from it. So yeah, one profile, all good to go. Let's work on the second profile. Let's just double check that it will fit. I might have done my measurements wrong. Sweet, it looks like we have about 1.5 inches to spare. I like those odds. As I said before, I really want to preserve this factory edge right here. Though it may not be the smoothest, it is a straight edge. I'm going to start gluing from this edge and this edge to make sure it goes with a straight edge and that it doesn't go off this cliff. Oh no, okay. These aren't lined up down here and they really need to be. So we have to shift everything before it dries. Let's actually support this plywood so that it doesn't bend. You'll notice it ripping and tearing. That's because I'm using pretty thin pieces of paper. If you want a better template, definitely go with thicker paper. And make sure your jigsaw blade is nice and sharp so it doesn't tear at the paper. Oh, goodbye. I just cut all the round parts, and now I'm going to cut the straight part right here. And what I'm gonna use is my favorite large plywood cutting tool, a skill saw or a circular saw, and a guide. So I'm gonna use a level with, and then just clamp it here. Go ahead and get yourself a 48-inch level like this. It's good because it can help you level things, so I'll use this in the future for leveling the simulator if I need to add any shims for anything. But it's also great because it can act as a jig. So we have our circular saw right here, and then we also have another level. This is like level 4 of all of the levels. But I'm going to use this level not as a guide, well, kind of as a guide, but instead as an offset. Right here, you'll see we have our line we need to cut from here to here. If we put our level up right like this, that would work pretty well. But then once we get our circular saw and come in, we have this distance right here. On my circular saw, this is 1.5 inches, which is super convenient because this is 1.5 inches. So just like that, boom. I can use this as an offset. So instead of having it line up with the line, I'll have it 1.5 inches from the line. I know I could eyeball it, but I only have 2 eyeballs and I don't want to use them up all right now. Basically what you want to do is have one edge perfect, have the other edge perfect, and then fix both of them, because it'll mess things up. So I just got that one perfect, but then I did that one, which makes this one need to be messed up. Perfect! As long as I say the word perfect, I can fool you into thinking it's perfect, even though it was a little off. What you gonna do? Come out, wherever you are. Silly little power cord. Let me add some more support before I finish this cut, because once it finishes this cut, it'll just drop through, all heck will break loose, and like a laser demon robot will come in with its eye lasers and zap me. So, yeah. Ta-da! Okay, so here is section 2. Yes, these profiles are cut, but they don't look pretty. But I can't really judge them for that, because neither do I. I look handsome. We're not done just yet. We have one more profile for section 1, and then section 1, we just need to bend the wood, and then we're almost good. If these are coming up, I definitely want to re-glue them. You know, the flaking before. I try not to take this personally if my gluing isn't sufficient. So that looks good. I'd much rather have it done right than done wrong. I was gonna say something super motivational, but nothing came to me. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this either later today or tomorrow. In the meantime, I can prepare some of the other profiles and stuff. Through this past week, I've learned so much about engineering. It's been fantastic, and I hope I shared a lot of what I learned with you, and so you can learn it too. You can download all of the files for free off of the GitHub, and if you feel inclined to do so, you can donate to support the project and further its development. I'm going off of a pay-what-you-want model because I know that as a young sim builder, I couldn't afford any plans, let alone actually have the ability to purchase things online. So I don't want this being a barrier at all to any young aspiring simulator builders. I think that way it's just accessible to more people, and with this model you can also give me feedback on my designs so we can all help make them better collectively. I hope you had a fantabulous Cessna172sday, and I will see you next week where we're gonna do something else. Have a fantabulous day, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.